So I recently booted up Wargroove after more than a year, and I decided to try a quick match to see if any updates had been made. And after sitting in queue for well over 30 minutes, I instead tried to look for a public game, but I actually couldn't find a single one. Maybe I'm just stupid, but I couldn't even bring up the public lobby anymore. All I could do was view old games I had hosted in the past. I clicked around for a good 5 minutes trying to figure it out, but I simply could not find a single online multiplayer game. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that Wargroove is officially dead. And I want to make a video talking about why I think this happened, and why I think it's important. I think the first question I should answer is, why would I even care about Wargroove in the first place? Aside from one Let's Play I did and a few streams with Pansegraf, it's not a game that has a huge presence on my channel, but it has close ties to another game which does, and that is Advanced Wars. When Wargroove was announced, there was a lot of hype surrounding it. People were pretty excited because it was essentially the Advanced Wars remake we had all been waiting for. Sure, we had medieval knights and dragons instead of tanks and fighter jets, but the game was essentially still Advanced Wars at its core with a few twists, and thus it had a lot of potential to cement itself as a classic. So why didn't it? Well, first of all, I imagine a lot of you guys will be saying, hey, Wargroove came out on the 1st of February 2019, why should it still be relevant? Well, there are many older games that still have huge followings today. I personally have been watching the Age of Empires 2 competitive scene for over 2 decades. A community still super active today for a game that came out in 1999. However, the reason why I'm so concerned with the death of Wargroove is that I think it's a possible predictor for the release of the Advanced Wars reboot camp. They both have similarly goofy cartoony graphics, and they are both essentially the same type of game. The difference is of course that Advanced Wars is an already established franchise that is still popular today, but that doesn't mean the reboot can't make the same mistakes that Wargroove did. A while back, I made a video titled The Problem with Wargroove's Quick Matches, where I outlined some of the biggest issues with the online multiplayer features. Let's have a look at some of the problems I had with the game at the time. One of the things I love the most about Wargroove right now is how easy it is to enter a quick multiplayer match. Open up the game and with 3 simple clicks, you can be matched up with an opponent and start playing. This is such a great feature that I find myself doing it every single day, or I would if it didn't suck, so let me explain. So this video is not going to be about any proposed multiplayer changes or anything like that. It's just going to be a couple of practical quality of life improvements that would make queuing up and playing quick matches that much easier. So at the moment, when you click play quick match, you get queued up after anywhere between 15 seconds to 2 minutes, and you instantly enter a 1 versus 1 match against a random opponent. Sounds good, right? Well, the problem is that I often have to cycle through even 3 or 4 opponents because they're all AFK. Now, why is this? Well, nobody just sits around waiting for their match to begin. They press Q and then they Alt-Tab to do other things. We all know how easy it is to lose track of time on the internet, and this just results in a bunch of opponents being AFK. So why is it that Wargroove just doesn't give you a little bit of a ping or some sort of other audible alert that the match has been set up? That way you can Alt-Tab and then immediately go back into the match when you hear the sound effects. Yeah, sadly this issue has still not been resolved, and I think that's one of the reasons I couldn't find a quick match. There's just no people still playing the game, and I have to think that the awful online multiplayer matchmaking system is one of the reasons. The same thing goes for when it's your turn. Since Wargroove is a turn-based strategy game, most people will Alt-Tab to do other things when it's not their turn. While you can hear the music change from commander to commander, a lot of players, myself included, prefer to play with the music off so that we can have our own soundtrack in the background instead. No offense to the Wargroove groove, it's really groovy, no pun intended, but it's sort of repetitive after a while. A small sound effect alerting the player to the fact that it's your turn would go a long way to reduce downtime. This issue has not been fixed either, at least not to my knowledge, though since I wasn't able to actually find a single multiplayer match, I had to resort to reading through patch notes, and I couldn't find anything about this issue, so I can only assume it's still present. Also, speaking of very new, I know this is probably something that's already in the making, but can we please have some sort of rating system for Wargroove? Queuing up on the quick match now is akin to playing a game of roulettes. You can be matched up against someone who's insanely skilled or someone who's playing their very first match. At least let the game track a win streak or something so that you get a little bit invested in your victories. After doing some research online, I discovered that a rating system for Wargroove actually does exist now, but it's being run by the Wargroove Discord team, meaning that it's a fan-made system. Chucklefish did nothing to create an actual online rating system to support the multiplayer scene, and that is a huge problem because when you have no way to differentiate player skill, your matchmaking pretty much becomes a game of roulette. You can either be matched up against a grandmaster or someone new to the game, and either way it's not a very pleasant experience. Then there's the rules of the quick matches themselves, which you have zero control over. I'd personally love to play some Fog of War matches in this mode. Yes, I realize I can create custom games for other players to join, but it would be sorta nice. If we had a Fog of War button enabled for quick matches too, that would be really cool. And yeah, to my knowledge, this issue was not fixed either, because when I queued up for a quick match, I got no alternatives to toggle on Fog of War or to change the match's rules. Maybe there is something added to when the game actually is launched. I couldn't really find out if this was the case, since I couldn't connect to a single multiplayer game, but to my knowledge, the quick match system is unchanged from when I played it back in 2019. Finally, I need to address the state of the servers. Right now, at the time of making this video, I drop out from pretty much half of the quick matches I enter, and it's super frustrating. If someone from Chucklefish happens to watch this, just please invest in some better server technology, because it's absolutely unplayable at this rate. Now, when making this video, I was not aware at the time that it was actually not Chucklefish's servers that was the problem, but rather the Nintendo servers. The ones used when you play on the Switch, that is. Playing Wargroove on your computer is actually fine, and as long as your opponent is also playing on a computer, you shouldn't have any issues. But if either you or your opponent is playing on their Switch, you will have a lot of issues with either one of you dropping out. And to my knowledge, this is just a problem with Nintendo servers. Chucklefish actually cannot fix this in any way. And this really freaks me out, because to my knowledge, we'll be playing on these very same servers when the Advanced Wars reboot launches, and Nintendo absolutely have to fix these. There is absolutely no chance that we will have a thriving online multiplayer community when players keep dropping out. So yeah, looking at Wargroove, I think we have some pretty accurate blueprints for why it failed, and why it's not being played anymore. Bad online matchmaking, no rating or league system to separate player skill, no pings or alert to prevent players from going AFK during matches and queue times, and unstable servers that causes players to drop out. These are problems which I think need to be addressed by the eventual Advanced Wars reboot, because if the multiplayer aspect of this game sucks, the game will fail. Most players will buy the game at launch and play through the campaign, and there will be a huge influx of people coming into the series, but after around 6 months, most of those players will leave and go on to other games. And the people who will keep the game alive will be the ones involved in the competitive online multiplayer scene. And in order to keep those guys around, the game needs to not make the same mistakes that Wargroove did. I can only hope that some of the developers from Way Forward is at least aware of Wargroove and the mistakes that it did, and uses those lessons to avoid making the same ones. Because at the end of the day, I want the reboot to succeed, and I want it to be a great game, and I can only hope that this will be the case. I would like to end this video by addressing what remains of the Wargroove community. If any of you happen to click this video, I just want you to know that I'm not doing this to crap on your favorite game, and I'm sorry if this offended you. If you are one of the people still playing and enjoying competitive Wargroove to this day, I think that's really cool, and I'm glad that you're still able to find enjoyment in the game. No doubt the community is doing everything they can to keep it active, and that is very admirable. Even though Wargroove never ended up manifesting itself on my channel in a big way, I still look back on the streams I did with Panzergraf with a lot of fondness, and I also had a great time playing through the campaign. I really wish that this game cemented itself as one of the timeless classics, but sadly for this to happen, it does require some effort from the actual game developers. The community cannot carry this torch completely on their own. Anyway, I do hope that those of you still enjoying Wargroove continue to have fun with the game. And who knows, maybe in the future we'll see a sequel or an expansion pop out. One can always hope. Thank you for watching, my name is Mengs, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.